We had a poll recently that showed that 70% of the soccer fans in Miami are supportive of promotion and relegation. There was also an ESPN poll that showed that 63% of the players in the MLS are supportive of promotion and relegation. The fans want it, the players want it. I mean, the stakeholders should maybe listen and start to make some changes.
You know what? Have you ever actually polled the MLS owners? Because I don't take it as a given
that they don't?
So many of them are so opposed to it.
Well, Ricardo referenced it earlier, and I've been in meetings as well. There are owners in the MLS who favor this. Again, you go back from that perspective, it's the asset value. Here's what can happen to your asset value. You're going to invest X, whatever you invested in. Antonio was right. We don't know what they've all invested. Some invested $5 million to get in the league, and $20 million, and $10 million, whatever the numbers were as they all come up. So when you have that conversation, say, look, and here's what is on the table. Some of them didn't even know about the $4 billion offer, which is surprising. Once you kind of explain it in that manner, like, well, wait a minute. I'm getting in this for, I love the passion, I'm at the pride project, but at the same time, I want to raise the value of what I'm investing in. And here's an opportunity to do that. Promotion and relegation brings more interesting content, which Antonio was on, which brings more resources. The $4 billion is evidence of that. So when you're an owner, most owners don't live year to year. Most owners are involved for an asset value increase, right? And we don't see evidence of this. We don't know what the asset value of an MLS team is right now. We could argue that it's $150 million for an entrance fee, which we hear, I don't know what we hear, that's the number, unless you're David Beckham and you're getting it for 25 or 37, plus an investment in a stadium that may or may not be required. So whatever it is. Promotion relegation changes that game. It brings in more resources from a $4 billion offer from MP and Silva, which has set the market now, or something greater, which somebody else could come in and say, well, it's worth $6 billion. So those dollars are funneled back into the league. So your asset value is increasing, you have more resources to spend on your team, and if you go down, there's parachute payments. So you're protected from your investment because you go down. Your asset value is increasing, you're protected if you go down from an asset value standpoint. And of that $4 billion, I'm not sure many people know this, but if you look around the world, 20% of those funds usually are trickled down through the lower divisions. So now you've got 20% of that $4 billion, which is $80 million a year, I think, if it's $4 billion over 10. That's $80 million that's funneled, 800 million dollars that's funneled into lower division soccer in the United States. So we talk about the standards. I think this was brought up earlier. The standards, well, there aren't enough quality Division II soccer teams that can make that jump. Well, there are probably, and with $80 million down, there certainly will be. We don't have a Division III right now. We don't have a Division IV. I think that some folks called the MPSL Division IV, but it's not a Division IV. It's non-sanctioned. It's an amateur league. So right now in the United States, there's one Division I and one Division II. So we need to change something. And promotion and relegation brings that. It brings the resources. It brings the attention. It brings the relevancy that we're all looking for and searching for that will change the game. So, when you're an owner sitting there looking at your investment, of course you want to stay up, but at the end of the day, the most important thing, other than winning and losing, is what your asset value is.